Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Chat to Rule Them All. My name is Cam, but you know me as Dr. Dreads. I have the absolute honor to have the chance to interview Sophia. She goes by Dragonlordcreatives. Thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I think how I came across her, I think I saw like a post of, I forgot her name, but she was the character from, I believe, Danganronpa with uh, the pink and blue hair.
Yes, Ibuki Miyota.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a throwback. I haven't cosplayed her in years. I was in like a high school maybe when I made her. That was awesome.
And just like that, it just boom, here's another cosplay, boom, here's another cosplay, boom, here's another cosplay. And so there's just so much. Had the chance there. I was like, I need to have the chance to either just interview here. So I'm ready to start whenever you are.
Awesome. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. So we're gonna start here with this segment here called the past. So this is all just the origins. So just what made you want to get a cosplay, just saying I want to be that character and go out to meet other people in costumes.
Oh, I mean, I was in middle school. I grew up in like small town South Georgia. So I was very much like you knew the kids in school who liked anime for
Right.
sure. So we were all friends, we all hung out, and one of those friends, his name is Ash, and we still talk today. He introduced me to cosplay and the concept of cosplay. The first time I ever cosplayed in public, I went to our local mall and just hung out there in my cosplay all day. But there was a little local convention called Nerdacon. I'm from Columbus, Georgia, so that was like my big introduction. Oh, it was maybe like 100, 200 people went at the time, but it was still a gathering of people who love cosplay and all things nerdy, and it really put me into the realm of like, this is what I want to do. This is my number one favorite hobby now.
And do you remember what was your first cosplay when you went there?
Oh, so Mordecai from regular show, and I did Marshall Lee from Adventure Time, and Elizabeth from BioShock Infinite.
Okay. Yeah, God, that's a throwback. I remember that was everywhere. And speaking,
Oh, I know. I love BioShock, and Infinite was just such a fire game.
it was, I think I remember that like when I started cosplay, that was like the most hype game that everyone had been talking about. So
Yeah, yeah, that was a good one. Still really good to this day. Would love another BioShock
absolutely.
game, but who knows?
And do you happen to remember, and this is kind of like a long running thing where like there had to be that, I guess for like an example, Elizabeth, it was a when I guess when I started, it was like Elizabeth and Sword Art Online was very big at the time. And so there's a bunch of cosplays during of that. Do you ever remember what was that one big cosplay that you just remember seeing everywhere when you first started off?
Oh man. Well, Kirito and Asuna were definitely around a lot. Let me think. Anything I did see quite a few Marshall Lees in my time too, but I also remember that because like I was cosplaying him, so that would obviously stick out to me. Let me think. Neon Genesis, I feel like that's always been around though. And Danganronpa also got like fairly popular when I first started cosplaying. So, but also I feel like I mostly remember the cosplays that I was familiar with or was a part of. Like if you were to like take me back in time and to look at conventions, like I would probably see a whole other different side of things, right?
And it's funny that you brought up you said it was Marshall Lee, and that was the from Adventure Time. I think I remember when that episode just debuted and just people just went head over heels to him. It was just like, who is this character? And then
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and they got Donald Glover to voice him. Like, come on. Like, that's too good.
that's insane.
For sure.
And so I think that's basically here for more of the past. So because we just got to know about, and then what was the name of that first convention again?
Nerdicon.
Nerdicon. Do you know if it's still around or?
It is not, unfortunately. I loved Nerdicon so much. Some controversy happened with the team who was running it. I don't know. It's all word of mouth to me. Like I don't have like the most credible sources, so I don't even feel like I should speak on what happened
Okay.
to Nerdicon. But I some controversy happened and they no longer run it. They haven't run it for a few years. I think some conventions have tried under other branding have tried starting up in Columbus, but they just don't have the same traction. At least not to my knowledge. I don't visit home that much anymore. And
Okay.
it is Columbus, Georgia, so
Okay. And so
right.
so far that was about everything here for the past. So let's go ahead and move on to the next segment is the present. So I think just ever since you went as that character for Danganronpa, I just remember just you were just everyone at once. I know you was I think I remember that you was Hawkeye from um Full Metal
Well,
Alchemist. You was it Lucas from um I almost said Smash Brothers from Earthbound. And so
Smash Brothers too, though, yeah.
there was just so much just going along with that during this whole journey cosplay here. So just curious, do you happen to have like a favorite that kind of like still like kind of stays true to your heart for years later?
Oh, well, honestly, you saying Lucas, like, that's definitely one for me. Like, Mother 3 was such a special game. It's got a lot of heart to it, and I really enjoyed the story. And, Lucas was this character, like, I'd always just seen him in Smash Brothers, so it was really cool to see, like, his game and his story. And it's such an easy cosplay to do. It's easy, it's comfortable, and I don't typically see a lot of other people cosplaying that character, so it is recognizable and it's easy to pick me out of a crowd and something like that. So all of those factors make Lucas like a very easy go-to cosplay for me. Let me think. Outside of that, I did Hawkeye for a long time. So she was just like FMA is my favorite anime of all time. So I really liked her character specifically, and it was just a great duo. My ex-boyfriend used to cosplay Mustang with me, and so that was always a lot of fun to be able to do like a partner cosplay together. I love doing duos. Ray from Neon Genesis too has been a newer, recycled cosplay of mine. I've done a few of her outfits, and it's the same thing, like she's a pretty simple character to do,
Right.
and also comfortable and recognizable, and just like a timeless anime, timeless movies. So yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I already know the answer to this next question, but I was about to say what was your recent convention, but I'm pretty sure that was Dragoncon. And I guess to go
Yes.
make that simple, how was it?
Oh, Dragoncon was amazing. I love that con so much. Like so much fun. I'm not as much into the convention circuit as I used to be. I do a lot of music festivals these days, but I always tell my friends that Dragoncon is the only convention that I wouldn't miss for the world. I love it so much. It's so much fun, and there's so many like cool outfits you can bring to Dragoncon, and someone will recognize you no matter what you are.
I was recently when I went to DragonCon this year, I was convinced to go look at uh the wrestling show. And oh my god, I was like, this place is magical. I'm upset it took me years later to look at this.
I went to DragonCon wrestling. It was probably my first year. I just saw it on the lineup and I was like, "This sounds fun. Let's go do it." It is a lot of fun.
And so, and I think even someone told me, say, like, hey, you see that guy right there? It's like, yeah, that's Xavier Woods. I was like, he comes here? It was like he comes here for his birthday. And I was like, wow. And I could see why after, because I was there helping out doing a bit of volunteering, and I can see why everyone loves that show dearly. And so
Yeah.
and that was the other one I was gonna mention, saying that recently you got into music festivals that I saw recent here. And so one of them that he said you was going to, it was uh Soundhaven. And so I was just curious as to just go into that. What made you jump into that world of going to music festivals?
Oh, well, I think a lot of people would agree that there's a lot of crossover between anime conventions and EDM specifically. You know, there's always raves like Saturday Night Rave at the
Right.
convention. So that gave me a lot of exposure to that type of music. And I grew up listening to it, really liked it. You know, we didn't have raves back in small town Georgia, so I it took me a bit longer to get exposed to that. But when I moved to Atlanta, you know, cons became my main focus. I didn't really get out and experience live music a whole lot unless it was at a convention. But there was somewhere between the year of 2020 when everything was shut down. You know, clearly everyone stopped going out, and I kind of switched up my tune when things opened again. Like conventions still weren't 100% yet,
Right.
but I started going to a lot more live music on the weekends, and we had a whole music festival like planned, and I had like an epiphany moment listening to who has now become my favorite artist. His name is Grizz. He's
Okay.
fantastic.
Okay, Grizz. Okay, I heard a
Yes.
little bit of him.
Yes, he has such a great stage performance, like such a great sound. I had never experienced it live. I heard like a little bit of his stuff on Spotify, his released music, and then I saw him live and it just like changed my life and it became this high I wanted to chase all the time. So I like made what was kind of a hard switch into doing music festivals. I could say that it's definitely a different realm. It's a lot of physical exertion. You're outside, you're camping, like there are just a lot of like working parts that go into it. But I can say that cosplay does happen there, and I cosplay frequently at music festivals. And you know, even though like that's not something you really think about and the context of it does change, you do get people who talk to you or want pictures of you like based on the outfits you're wearing. um, Fun outfits are just a big part of music festivals in general, so if you're like nerdy and a cosplayer, like you can absolutely bring that into this realm of things. It doesn't even have to be at a convention, right?
Right. And and I do highly agree with saying how much like either nerd culture can go definitely with techno culture. Because for me, uh, just to go ahead and just go, I'm a kind of fanboy here. One of my favorite albums growing up was I think it was Discover or Discovery by Daft Punk. And then
Ah,
and then once I learned about Stadium, I was like, there's an animated movie off of this where it's just like the music play with all this going, um, uh, music playing while it's just basically telling the story. And then years later, I came across more people like Living Tombstone, who were basically started Five Nights at Freddy's, but then added in more techno elements. And then what was it? Mystery Skulls what I that my friends has been obsessed with for a while. So I definitely agree how much that can basically see how much you can just collide and saying like, oh, I might get into more of this. So
yeah, absolutely. I love that Daft Punk movie. It's so good, and that's
I
just a
fell in love with that.
fantastic album too.
I was like the one thing I'm telling my friends, I was like, until I get a vinyl record player, that's the first album I'm buying. So
Yep, yep. Me and my boyfriend watched it all in one night because we only watched it for the first time recently. I'd seen music videos from it, but never like the whole piece in
yeah.
one sitting. And right after that was done, like he went and ordered the vinyl, and we have it here now. It's
I
a
think it
good
was
one. It's a good
I think
one.
it's for me because when I was just younger, I think it only stopped up until harder, better, faster, stronger. I'm just like, what next? And then it took me like years later to find the whole movie to watch it to figure out what happened after that song. Besides, even though I still have the album, still listening to this dearly years later. So
Yeah, it's timeless. Definitely mind blown. Wish I could see them live. Seriously.
I wish so bad. And so I guess the thing, go ahead and next question here. Go better going back to the conventions. Has there been any crazy convention stories that just stood with you years later? Good, bad, crazy?
I mean, what isn't crazy? I feel like it's I can tell you my one of my best friends, Natalie, like she often extends her room like the last night, like she'll stay Sunday evening. and she like invites people like, hey, if you want to like I'm hosting like a get together at my room, and then it turns into like a 40-person room party, and it's like, oh wow, there's a lot of people in here. So like I've experienced some stuff with that. I can tell you last year, especially Dragoncon. So there is a rave you might be familiar with called Invasian. I go
Yes.
to a lot. If you haven't been, by the way, I super recommend it. I like my friends are the ones who host it
Okay.
and move all the working parts. So I've been going since they started it, but it is a great mix if you like EDM and if you like cosplay and nerd stuff. Um, they Controllerize will come out and they like set up a Smash Bros rig in the corner. There's all kinds of vendors there. There are fire performers outside. They give shots of soju on stage. It's the only time that District, the club that hosts it, will serve soju, but it's all
Okay.
about like Asian culture and appreciation. They really try to showcase like all like Asian DJs, or sometimes they'll have like themed nights. They did a more of a like Indian culture night recently, and
Okay.
they like made sure to focus on like Indian artists and like traditional dances. It's very cool, and it's very and you're encouraged to cosplay at these events too, even if there's no convention going on. They do a lot of convention after parties, and you see the most cosplay at those, but they tell everyone like cosplay is encouraged, like please bring your outfits out. We want to take pictures of it.
That's
So,
awesome, especially here
yeah.
because also you mentioned Controllerize because I've been to them a couple of times, and especially how much they we went there. I think the last one I went there recently was the one attributed to Akira Toriyama, and then everyone definitely was had the hype there because I saw so many drawings from just Dragon Ball, watching a couple of the episodes, and definitely for the Smash Brothers corner. So, shout out
Yeah,
to yes.
honestly, I've been meaning to get out to like controller rides. It's on the opposite side of town from me, but I've heard so many good things about it. It looks fun. It looks
I
so
definitely
fun.
recommend it. Controllerize, if you're interested, call me. And so I guess the one more question here for the present segment. For a long time, there has been just crazy debates of in the cosplay community. There's the one people saying like, "Oh, I'm a buying commission closet," or sometimes you hear the one person saying you can't cosplay that character because they're blah blah blah. And then
Mhm.
personally, just saying, what do you just think about that every time you hear that?
Oh, well, shoot. This is supposed to be adults playing dress up. So, first of all, you should cosplay like however you want, whether it's bought or like modified or you're making it from scratch. Personally, like, a few years back, I used to really pride myself in making stuff from scratch, but it was a different part of my life. I don't have the time or dedication to do that. I sometimes you just want to be the character, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
Like, so there is no like there should be no shame in cosplaying however you want to. Honestly, these days I thrift or get my a lot of my pieces secondhand and then I modify them. And I get a lot of pride from that these days. Versus making things from scratch. I just love being able to know, like, yeah, like I like created something from like secondhand stuff. Like there's a whole process in looking for your pieces, and oh, I could get this piece and modify it this way. But yeah, so I take a lot of pride in doing that for my cosplays these days. And as far as like, no one should be telling someone what they shouldn't do. I think there are certain like you should be aware of certain things and just like appreciate
Right.
certain parts of cosplays, but I think it's not on someone else to be responsible to tell you that either. Like you should just figure out for yourself whether you should or shouldn't cosplay something. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And so here we are in here in the final segment here, which is the future. So I guess saying right here, I guess these are two questions that's going on here since you've now been doing both some conventions, but mostly music festivals.
Mhm.
I guess one, has there been any future cosplay like wish lists that you've been wanting to go to as you're saying I want to go as that character?
Oh yeah, definitely. I did Zuko a few years ago for a music festival. I would love to like revamp him a little bit. Now that Halloween is coming up, I have a festival called Halloween that is the weekend before, and I am starting to brainstorm some outfits and cosplays I can wear to that because everyone dresses up because it's Halloween. So I want to do some really cool outfits this time around. And it's a perfect time of year. Sometimes
Absolutely.
it can be very hot. So you have to keep that in mind for what you're wearing. But I think this time of year and there's lots of tree coverage, I'll be able to be a little more flexible with what I'm wearing, you know?
Right. And then
Mhm.
I guess to um go on and add this other question, has there been any uh music festivals that's been like on your list that you've been dying wanting to go to for years now, since now you've been doing all this?
Oh, Wakan, hands down. I It looks like such a beautiful festival. It's put on by one of my top artists, Liquid Stranger. He's curated this amazing label called Wakan. It's in Mulberry Mountain, which is closer to the West Coast. It's a bit of a drive, but it is beautiful out there. And he makes sure to keep it very small and intimate. Sometimes when these festivals get a lot of traction, they're very good and very successful. They get to be really big, really, really big. And it can be very hard to navigate with lots of people. Sometimes it can bring in the wrong people, depending
Right.
on like what the reasons are to be there. The community is very big on, there's the term plur, peace, love, unity, respect. But sometimes, especially when things become more mainstream, it can bring in people who don't exactly have the same vision or the same care for the community. But I think the intentions behind this music festival, even though it's larger, it's meant to be kept smaller and more intimate and more about community. Also, some amazing music goes on that weekend. I would just love to go out and experience it. I've been told by my friends that the crowns they hold it on are sacred. You can feel it when you enter. Like sometimes you just feel that energy when you enter a room of or a space. So yeah, that's top of my bucket list. I'm telling myself next year I'm gonna make it happen.
And to go ahead and final off for our final question here. Well, since now you've been doing both conventions and music festivals, is there any advice to anyone who wants to decide to either try to go either one or the other or both of them? Since now you have experience being now going to both conventions and music festivals, if you have any advice to anyone who's interested in that type of field.
Yeah, well, if you're trying to decide which to get into, I'd say to think about your priorities, think about your body and what you think you might need, what will be more comfortable for you. Myself have done music festivals in a hotel room before. I love camping, but I just love being outdoors and being immersed in the event. But also, that's not for everyone.
Right.
So, keeping those things in mind. What you're looking for out of the community. Like, obviously, if you were going for cosplay, I recommend conventions just because there are times that I never even get to my outfit because it is very hot. It is physically exhausting at these music festivals. And the best way is to just take it as it is. It can be, I've experienced that it can be very hard to plan everything out because your body will need more rest, more time in decompress mode than you initially think. I have missed music because I have had to sit down and just drink water and eat food. Part of my brain is like, no, 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 you're going to miss that set. And it's like, no, like, my body needs this. And if I'm going to stay up and catch any of the other music today, then I will need this moment right here. So I'd say conventions, it's a bit easier to kind of rigorously plan your day with panels and you're in a building, it's air conditioned. So
Hydration.
hydration, yep, exactly. Well, both of them hydrate all the time. It was only after music festivals and I came to, I think it was MomoCon, I carried around my water bottle for the first time ever. Like, I had just never carried around water at a con before, and I was like, "Why have I not ever done this?" Like, I just feel so much better. I'm not, like, dehydrating myself for 5, 6 hours a day.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so, first of all, Sophia, I just want to say to the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for having your time to be here. Thank you for being here, especially right after Dragon Con, especially getting all this put together.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I was so excited when you reached out.
Absolutely. And folks, I'll make sure I put all her social media account just here, everywhere that's possible as I could. Please, 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 please go check her out. I cannot just saying here. I'm happy to have someone like her that had the chance to interview. So thank you once again.
Oh, well, thank you. You're too sweet to me.
And thank you everyone here who had the chance to watch this episode of the Chat to Rule Them All. Once again, my name is Cam. You know me as Dr. Dreads. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.